Good morning and welcome to the Antioch Living Black History Museum. I'm Aaron Martin and I will be your virtual tour guide this morning. While we may not be in the typical Antioch setup, I'm here to help you navigate our virtual presentation. This is our third annual installation and we have some amazing exhibits this year. We have athletes, politicians, entertainers, inventors, and civil rights leaders. Most importantly, all of them are change makers. We begin our journey with our scientists and inventors. The African diaspora has contributed greatly to the fields of science, technology, engineering, and math, long before we started calling it STEM. One of our inventors was even born an illiterate freedman in 1807. Isn't that amazing? Enjoy as we learn more about Black American scientists and inventors.
My name is Henry Blair. I was born in Glen Ross, Maryland, 1807. Many people have questions on if I was born a slave or not, but from what I remember, I've always been free. As an adult, I became a very successful businessman and farmer. But one day while I was out working in the field, I thought to myself, there has to be a way to make this more efficient. So I invented the corn planter. The corn planter is an invention that plants corn more faster and more efficiently than a human can. It worked so well, I got a patent in 1834. But I didn't know how to read or write, so I had to ask a trusted friend to help me. Although I did remember to sign my name with an X and make sure they had me down as colored. So I became the second African American man to ever have their invention patent. I also invented the cotton planter. The cotton planter is a lot like the seed planter, just pulled by horses instead of humans. I understand now that you all have lots of advanced technology and equipment, but I just wanted to let you know that it's all based off my inventions.
My name is Nicholas Johnson and I'll be telling you about Richard Spikes. Richard Spikes was a Black inventor who invented many things that are related to automobiles that include the automatic gear shift and emergency brake systems for buses and trucks. He was born in 1878 in October 2nd, San Francisco, California. He was a full African American man. His parents were Monroe Spikes and Medora Kirby Spikes. His children were Richard Don Quicksilver Spikes. His sibling was Reb Spikes. He died on 1963, January 22nd, Los Angeles, California. He inspired many people and hopefully more inventors to this day.
Hi, my name is Dorothy Vaughn. I was born in 1910. As a little girl, I loved math. I decided to go to college to get my math degree. I then moved on to teach high school in math. During World War II, I went on to work at NASA. I became part of the West Wing Black Computers group. You know, the group of women who do all the computations. I became the first Black manager for my fellow Black computers. I worked at NASA for 28 years, helping to upgrade and integrate the organization. Oh, you may also know me from the little movie called Hidden Figures.
Though I am no longer alive, I want you to know that I did not die because a white hospital refused to admit me or give me a blood transfusion. I died because I was in a terrible car accident and could not be saved by anyone. Good morning. I'm Dr. Charles Drew. I was born June 3rd, 1904 in Washington, D.C., to a middle-class family. I graduated from high school, then went on to attend Amherst College in Massachusetts on an athletic scholarship, believe it or not. I was even an athletic director and football coach at one point for Morgan College. I got my medical degrees from McGill University in Canada and Columbia in New York City. As you can probably imagine, it wasn't easy for me as a Negro man to get a medical degree. I was the first Negro to receive a Doctor of Medicine degree from Columbia University in 1940. While at Columbia, I did my main research project on banked blood and blood preservation. I created a central location for the blood collection process where donors could go to give blood, and I made sure all blood plasma was tested before it was shipped out. I also came up with the concept of using refrigerated trucks to transport blood and collect blood from donors, and these became the first bloodmobiles. This led to my appointment as medical director of the first American Red Cross blood bank. I was also in charge of Blood for Britain to send plasma to soldiers fighting in Europe. I set up a model program for collecting blood and processing it into dried plasma. My work on preserving blood plasma for long-distance transport saved a lot of soldiers' lives. Unfortunately, the United States military felt that Negro soldiers' blood plasma and white soldiers' blood plasma ought to be segregated. Even though I showed in my research that there was absolutely no difference in plasma or whole blood between races, they wouldn't listen and insisted that the blood be stored and used separately based on race. I was so disgusted and outraged that I resigned my post at the American Red Cross and returned to Washington, D.C., where I assumed a position at Howard University Medical School as a professor of surgery, and I joined the faculty of Freedman's Hospital. I loved teaching and shaping young minds. We needed more Negro doctors in this country, and I tried to train as many as I could. I believed in them, and I wanted the best for them. That's how I ended up in a dark road in rural North Carolina, one night in April 1950. I was driving some students to a medical conference in Tuskegee, Alabama. I became extremely dozy and dozed off while driving. I was also rushed to the nearest hospital, which happened to be an all-white Alamance County hospital. The doctors there did their best they could, and they did not turn me away. I was just too seriously injured to be saved. My interns escaped serious injury, and for that I'm grateful. I left behind my wife and 3 children. I was 46 years old. So while the myth surrounding my death was not true, the reality is that many Negro men, women, and children were turned away from white hospitals or denied treatment because of their race.
My black inventor is Frederick M. Jones, and he invented the thermostat control. It acts like a thermometer. It shows the temperature of your home. We should pray for all the things Black history people have made, and Frederick's invention even has something on it to change the temperature on it if it's too hot or cold. And how about we give praise to Martin Luther King for treating Black people fairly. Everybody, this is all thanks to Black history, and there's more people all over the world of Black history that inventing all sorts of fun, safe, and helpful things. Some were even presidents of the U.S., but others were not, sadly. And all of the Black history people are heroes of the world. Black history, the end.
Did you enjoy that? I don't know about you, but I'm inspired to try my hand at creating a new tangible advancement or invention that can change the world. Black history is full of great thinkers. We also have some amazing athletes.
A former American basketball player. I'm considered to be one of the pioneers of women's basketball. I was a powerful women's center who led Delta State to 3 national championships. I'm 6 foot tall and 3 inches, and I'm 185 pounds. I was an outstanding rebounder who dominated in the paint and was a prolific scorer. I was born in Mentor City, Mississippi on February 10th, 1955. I'm the 10th of 11 children. Me and my siblings attended Amanda Elsie High School in Greenwood, Mississippi, where I played basketball. I won the Most Valuable Player Award 3 consecutive years, from 1971 to 1973. and I served as team captain and made the state all-star team. I scored a school record 46 points in one game and led my school to the state tournament in Jackson, Mississippi. After graduating from high school in 1973, I attended Delta State University located in Cleveland, Mississippi. I finished my college career with 2,981 points and 1,662 rebounds, averaging 25.9 points and 14.5 rebounds per game. I was also named as the tournament's MVP and to All-American First Team during Delta State's 3 winning seasons. I graduated from Delta State University with a bachelor's degree in health, physical education, and recreation in 1977. I also played on the United States women basketball teams where my team won gold in the 1975 Pan American Games and silver in the 1976 Summer Olympics Games in Montreal, Canada. I was chosen in the 7th round of the 1977 NBA draft by the New Orleans Jazz, becoming only the second woman ever drafted by an NBA team after Denise Long, who was selected by the San Francisco Warriors. A 1969 NBA draft. However, the NBA voided the Warriors' selection of Long, thus making me the first and so far only woman ever officially drafted. I declined to try out for the Jazz because I was pregnant at the time. She played professional basketball briefly. I played professional basketball briefly in the 1979 to 80 season with the Houston, Texas Angels of the Women's Professional Basketball League. And my basketball career ended, and I returned to Delta State to earn my master's degree in education in 1984. In 1992, I and former player Nera Wright became the first 2 women ever inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. I was the first African American woman inductee. I was also inducted into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame and the International Women's Sports Hall of Fame. Because of the trailblazers like Louisa Harris Stewart, young girls have more opportunities to pursue dreams of playing basketball in high school, college, and beyond. Thank you, Louisa Harris, for being a role model of determination and excellence.
Good morning, my Antioch family. I'm Raina Jackson. Come take a journey with me back in time to the early 1900s so that you can be enlightened about a young black girl just like me. This young girl was very resilient and had a passion for ice skating, that later led her to becoming a figure skater and coach. Her name is Mabel Fairbanks. Let me just start by saying that Miss Mabel Fairbanks did not have an easy life. She was born November 14, 1915 in Everglades, Florida, became an orphan by the time she was 8 years old, then went to live with a teacher that treated her like a maid, so she left Florida. Moved up to New York City to live with her brother and his wife, who owned a fish market in Harlem. She worked at the fish market until her brother and sister-in-law got mad at her for giving a family more fish than they paid for. Even at an incredibly young age, Miss Mabel had such a caring heart. Then one day, a wealthy woman saw her sleeping on a park bench and gave her a job as a babysitter at a home overlooking Central Park, which had an ice rink. After observing the children in the Central Park ice rink, and let me just point out that none of the children were black because black people did not skate in Central Park in the 1920s. But I digress. Miss Mabel bought herself used skates and stuffed them with cotton because they were 2 sizes too big. So this became the start of Miss Mabel's passion for figure skating. At this point in her life, the year was around 1925 to 1928. She was about the age of 10 to 13 years old. Miss Mabel allowed the passion for figure skating to change her young life and the life of others in a very positive way. She didn't let the fact that she was black keep her and others from indulging in a white-only world. Mabel endured so much racism in the 30s as she would try to enter other local ice skating rinks but could not because of the color of her skin. She continuously showed up at the ice rink, and the ice rink cashier just eventually let her come in and skate. Miss Fairbanks was not allowed to compete in the national qualifying event for the Olympics or any other competition. In a 1998 interview, she said, "If I had gone to the Olympics and become a star, I would not be who I am today." Miss Mabel performed shows in New York until the 1940s. She often wore pink or purple skate boots rather than the more common black or white. She eventually relocated to Los Angeles and began to tour internationally, skating with the Ice Capades in Mexico and later with the Ice Follies. After returning to the United States, she saw a sign that read, "No colored trades listed," at the Pasadena Winter Gardens. This sign meant that the Pasadena Winter Gardens did not want to hire blacks. She stated, "My uncle had newspaper articles written about it and passed them out everywhere until they finally let me in." Miss Mabel eventually opened her own figure skating center where she coached singles and pairs. She taught kids of all races. Some familiar names of her students that you may recognize are Scott Hamilton and Debbie Thomas. She also taught skating to the children of many celebrities. In 1997, Miss Mabel became the first African American inducted into the U.S. Skating Hall of Fame. Also, she was inducted into the International Women's Sports Hall of Fame in October 2001, which was 1 month after she died. Miss Mabel Fairbanks passed away in 2001 at the age of 85. Her legacy was to stay true to your passion and not allow racism or any other ism to stand in the way of your dreams. Thank you for listening, and amen.
Hi, my name is Simone Biles, and I was born in 1997 in Ohio. I moved to Texas to live with my grandparents when I was 3. I was adopted when I was 6. That's when I started gymnastics classes. I moved up quickly in gymnastics. I was ready to take on the world. I mean the whole world. My biggest dream came true. I was chosen to be on the 2016 U.S. Olympics team. I won 4 gold medals. In 2019, I won 25 world medals. I was breaking records all over the place. I was getting ready for the 2020 Olympics team, and then COVID happened. I wish next time it'll change.
Copeland. I was born September 10th, 1982 in Kansas City, Missouri. I had a very rough childhood, but I never gave up my dreams of becoming a ballerina. Most ballerinas were white and very low black ballerinas. They also start at age 2 or 3, and I started at age 13, which in the ballet world is considered old. I began my career by dancing in the U.S. Showcase. Since then, I began dancing in plays, shows, musicals, and much more. In 2015, I became appointed the first African-American dancer to be principal at the American Ballet Theater 75-year history. This is my fabric costume, one of my most famous performances.
Tina May's things need to know about Gabby Douglas. 1. She was 12 years old when she did her first tumbling class. 2. She spent over 18,000 hours training for her first Olympics. 3. She had her own line of leotard. 4. She helped set the record for the most cartwheels performed at the same time. 5. She has a really supportive family, one brother and 2 sisters. 6. She was the first black gymnast to win a individual gold medal. 7. She produced her own Lifetime movie. 8. She's not even close to being finished with her gymnastics career. 9. She prefers rainy weather. 10. She supports athletes from all sports. Gabby Douglas is awesome.
I'm feeling stronger already. Did you see how many ladies were in our athletic exhibit this year? Our exhibit curators really did a great job on that one. While this next section of our museum is small in number, it's great in impact. We have 3 amazing leaders who have greatly impacted American and international politics.
I grew up in Liberia, studied economics, and graduated from Harvard University. I was the assistant of the dictator Samuel Doe, which I clashed with ruthlessly due to integrity. Samuel Doe imprisoned me twice and almost executed me once. In 1985, I ran for Senate and criticized the government and got imprisoned for 10 years. Later on, I got exiled to Kenya and out of the US for 12 years. I came back to Liberia and ran for the presidential race and won in 2006. I served as president for Liberia through 2006 to 2018. Who am I? I am Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the first female African president of Liberia and a Nobel Peace Prize winner.
Hello everyone, my name is Congressman John Robert Lewis. Some of you may know me, some of you may not, so let's go back to the beginning. I was born February 21st, 1940 in a town near Troy, Alabama. I'm the son of a sharecropper, so I grew up on a farm. At an early age, I saw the unfairness and racism in Jim Crow laws, and I wanted to do something about it, but I didn't know what to do. So one day, I heard Dr. King on the radio, and he inspired me on what to say. Later, in 1955, the Montgomery bus boycott inspired me to do something. When you see something not right, not just, you have to say something, do something.
Something that is not right, not fair, not just, say something, do something.
Later, in 1957, I left home to go to college, where I got a degree in religion and philosophy. Later, I became an ordained minister. And then I became a freedom rider, where we did sit-ins across the South. We got punched, kicked, spat on, and arrested. But that wouldn't be the last time I was arrested. I was arrested 45 times. Later, I became the chairman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, better known as SNCC. Later, me and Dr. King organized the March on Washington, where I was the youngest speaker. Later, in Selma, Alabama, on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, we were beat by state troopers, and the whole country seeing that on TV helped get the Voters' Rights Act of 1965 passed. Never ever be afraid to make some noise. Get in trouble, good trouble, necessary trouble. Later, I ran for public office and was elected to Congress, where I fought for health care, education, and of course, voters' rights. Some people even called me the conscience of Congress. Don't get lost in the sea of despair. Be hopeful, be optimistic. I've lived to see some of Dr. King's dreams come true. In 2008, Barack Obama was elected as the first black president of the United States. And then in 2011, he presented me with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. I've lived a life filled with service and sacrifice, and my legacy will live on from this generation to the next. So I leave you with this. If not us, then who? If not now, then when?
I don't know about you, but I'm ready to hit the polls right now. Once I'm old enough. One thing I can do right now is enjoy our next section of the museum, one of my favorites. Welcome to the land of entertainment. Our exhibit curators have brought us profiles of media moguls, singers, poets, and even a world-renowned photographer.
I am Maya Angelou, and I was born in 1928. I died when I was 86 years old. Today I will be citing the poem Still I Rise. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beside with gloom? Because I walk like I got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I'll rise. Do you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my hotness upset you? Don't you take it awful hard that I laugh like I got gold mines, digging in my own backyard? You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like life, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Why do you take it as a surprise that I dance like I got diamonds in the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing in the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the hope and the dream of a slave. I rise, I rise, I rise.
Hi, my name is Gordon Parks. I was born on November 30th, 1912 in Fort Scott, Kansas. I was the youngest of 15 children and was born during the Jim Crow era. I was a self-taught photographer, writer, and filmmaker. I first picked up a camera at the age of 25. I later developed the passion of photography from looking at magazines that customers left behind from when I was a waiter at a railroad dining car. I got my first job in photography at Vogue and soon after Life magazine, where my best work was accomplished. During those years, my photography was known for focusing on the issues of civil rights, poverty, race relation, and urban rights. I'm best remembered for my iconic photos of poor Americans during the 1940s, including American Gothic, Emerging Man, and Outside Looking, just to name a few. Also, I am the first African American to produce a major motion picture film, and that film being Shaft. I later passed away at the age of 96 on March 7, 2006.
Hi, I'm Oprah Winfrey. Well, that's the name you know me as. My real name is Orpa, but people kept saying it wrong, so I guess it's just Oprah now. I was born in Kosciuszko, Mississippi. My parents are Veron Winfrey and Verenity Lee. I have 3 brothers and sisters. I have 3 siblings, Patricia Lee Lofton, Jeffrey Lee, and Patricia Lloyd. I was born January 29th, 1954, and I also have a husband named Stedman Graham. We've been married for 35 years now. Best 35 years of my life. Living with my mom, I was often abused. I went to go live with my dad soon after. I told him what was going on, to start a new life. When it was time to go to college, I picked Tennessee State University. That's when I began working on television and radio. Not a lot of people know this about me, but I was fired from my first real job, my first real TV job. I was deemed unfit for TV. It was my first and worst failure of my career, but I continued to work hard to make my dream reality. Later, it was tough to make it in the TV biz, because I had lots of competition. Back in the day, there was a talk show host named Phil Donahue. He had swagger, he had the good looks, and everybody loved this guy. But my warm smile and friendly personality drew in viewers. I later got a leading role in the Steven Spielberg's The Color Purple. I was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress.
All my life I had to fight. I had to fight my daddy, I had to fight my uncles, I had to fight my brothers. Girl, child ain't safe in the family men's. But I ain't never thought I had to fight in my own house. I loves Harpo. God knows I do. But I kill him dead before I let him beat me.
I helped out in the world of politics too. I helped push a law and get it signed by the president. I helped create a database for child abusers, letting the world, and more importantly the parents of the world's children, know who to trust and who not to trust. I wanted many people to read around the country, so in 1996 I started the Oprah Book Club. Shortly after, I not only got people to read, but I promoted my many bestsellers through the years and still today. But I didn't stop with books. I published my very own magazine called O Magazine. It had fashion, lifestyle tips, and so much more. In 2011, I ended the program with ABC and started my own TV show. I'm known for so much more, like my Harpo product, which is my business, by the way. Over 15 Emmy Awards, giving millions to charity, and even Oxygen Media. Once again, I'm Oprah Winfrey, talk show host, actor, and all-around favorite.
Hi, I was a singer, songwriter, and entrepreneur. I was even considered to be one of the most influential soul artists of all time, and referred to as the King of Soul. I was born on January 22nd, 1931 in Clarksdale, Mississippi, where I was the 5th out of 8 children. My family moved to Chicago when I was only 2 years old. I started singing with my brothers and sisters in a group called the Singing Children. Years later, I attended Wendell Phillips Academy High School in Chicago. In those years, at 17, I joined the gospel group The Soul Stirrers and served as the lead singer. My first recorded song was Jesus Gave Me Water in 1951.
The rest was history.
Jesus gave that woman water, gave her that loving less than water, and it was not, and well,
I then made a crossover from gospel to pop with my song Lovable in 1956. My motivation for this decision was when my dad said, "It's not what I sang that was important, but that God gave me a voice and musical talent. And the true use of his gift was to share it and make people happy." I performed at countless concerts and talk shows, and many of my songs have been listed high on the Billboard charts. I have 29 top 40 hits on the pop charts, and even more on the R&B charts. I'd signed with various record deals and even started my own. I was also an activist and advocate for the civil rights movement. I used my influence and popularity with the mixed population to fight for the cause. As I was good friends with Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, and Jim Brown, we campaigned together for racial equality. I died on December 11, 1964 at the age of 33 in Los Angeles. But besides my short life, I feel I have left an impact and legacy on the world, and especially Black history. I am in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Songwriters Hall of Fame, Hollywood and Clarksdale Walk of Fame, and I have a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. Those are just a few examples of my legacy and impact on music, and I still feel a change gonna come. I am Sam Cooke.
I am Amanda Gorman. I was born March 7, 1998 in Los Angeles, California. My mother is Joanne Wicks. She raised my siblings and I as a single parent. As a child, I had a speech impediment. However, I saw it as a strength since I was experiencing these obstacles in terms of my auditory and vocal skills. I became really good at reading and writing. At a young age, I realized that I wanted to do poetry while reciting the Marianne Williamson quote. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measures. I started poetry at the age of 15. I was inspired by Maya Angelou to be a poet and activist. In 2016, I started a nonprofit organization called One Pen, One Page to eliminate any inequality through education. At the age of 19, I became the first National Youth Poet Laureate. Now I am the youngest inaugural poet. I was the inaugural poet for President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris.
We carry a sea we must wade. We've braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace in the norms and notions of what just is.
Some of my books include For Whom Food Is Not Enough and The Hill We Climb. Now I would like to leave you with an excerpt of the 2021 inaugural poem, The Hill We Climb. We have braved the belly of the beast. We have learned that quiet isn't always peace, and the norms and notions of what just is isn't always justice. And yet the dawn is ours. Before we knew it, somehow we do it. Somehow we have weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. The new dawn blooms as we free it, for there is always light if we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
Hello, my name is Robert L. Johnson. I was born in Hickory, Mississippi on April 8, 1946. I was married to Sheila Johnson for 33 years and had 2 children, Paige and Brett. We divorced in 2006. I'm currently married to Lauren Wooden. I graduated from the Woodrow Wilson School at Princeton University in 1972. I moved to Washington, D.C. in 1979. I worked as a lobbyist for a cable company, which is where I found my inspiration to be in the TV industry. I worked as the Public Affairs Director for the Corporation of Public Broadcasting, and around the same time, the Director of Communications for the National Urban League. I would later become the Vice President of Government Relations for the National Cable and Television Association. In 1988, I launched BET and partnered with Liberty Media to buy all the shares in the company, giving me 42%. In 2001, Viacom bought the business for $2.3 billion, making me America's first African-American billionaire.
I'm every woman, it's all in me. Anything you want done, baby, I'll do it naturally. Hi, my name is Whitney Houston, and I was born August 9, 1963 in Newark, New Jersey. And I was born with singing in my blood.
Not only was I surrounded by singers in my household, but I was also first cousin to singers Dionne Warwick, Dee Dee Warwick, and Darling Love. So of course I began singing as a child. At age 19, I was signed to Arista Records. My career really took off with some of the best music of all time. I received 2 Emmy Awards, 6 Grammy Awards, 30 Billboard Music Awards, and 22 American Music Awards. And those are just a few. By 2010, I have 415 career awards. And I was breaking records all over the place. Now, I know you thought that singing was my only talent, but nope. I was an actress too. I was a star in many movies, but I really appreciated my role as Savannah in Waiting to Exhale. I saw the film as a breakthrough for the image of Black women because it presents them as professionals and caring mothers. It really paved the way for other all-Black movies. Singing, acting, I was very successful, but I still made some mistakes. This time, 9 years ago, I was found dead in a bathtub. Hearts all over the world were broken, but you should know that my music will stay with you forever. Oh, I want to dance with somebody.
Well, we've come to the last section of Antioch's Living Black History Museum. We've been inspired by inventors, athletes, politicians, and entertainers. But we could not leave out learning about some amazing civil rights leaders. These people put their lives on the line so that we can enjoy the rights we have today. Enjoy our final exhibits on the men and women who have impacted our lives on a national and local scale.
Hello, my name is Thurgood Marshall. Here's the whole story of my life because I don't mean to be impartial. Growing up was hard, especially in school. Just because my skin color was different, I was an object of ridicule. My teachers tried to make me read the Constitution as a punishment, but to me it felt like this should be a living document. Soon after, I was on my way to college to do more things and increase my knowledge. I tried to go to Maryland, but they put up a fence, but soon Howard showed me there was a better entrance. But eventually, I wanted to do something big. So I joined the NAACP, and for freedom we began to dig. But this wasn't enough. Our freedom was still under invasion, so I was chosen as Supreme Court Justice and fought on Brown versus the Board of Education. My work has taken this world to many different places. That's why schools are mixed with so many different races. But overall, world equality is my biggest wish. And with that, court dismissed.
Hello, I'm Jada Scroggins, and I will be representing Ms. Coretta Scott King. I was born in Huberger, Alabama to Bernice Scott and Obadiah Scott. I was an American author, activist, civil rights leader, and I advocated for African American equality. I attended Antioch College. I met Martin Luther King while attending graduate school in Boston. We both became active in the civil rights movement, and in 1953, we got married and had 4 children: Yolanda, Martin Luther King III, Dexter, and Bernice. After my husband's death in 1968, I became active in the women's movement and founded the King Center and sought to make Martin Luther King's birthday a holiday. I succeeded, and on November 2nd, 1963, Martin Luther King Day was established. I was inducted into the Alabama and Women's Hall of Fame. I was the first African American to lie in state at the Georgia State Capitol. I will be remembered as the First Lady of the Civil Rights Movement.
I was born as Martin King Jr. on January 15, 1929. I was the middle child of Michael King Sr. and Alberta Williams King. My mom and my dad had family roots in rural areas. I was a scholar and a minister who led the civil rights movement. After my assassination, I was memorialized by Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I influenced people around the world, and even in a time of civil unrest, I advocated for peaceful approaches to some of society's biggest problems. I organized a number of marches and protests and was a key figure in the U.S. civil rights movement. I'm known for my contributions to the American Civil Rights Movement in the 1960s. My most famous work is my I Have a Dream speech in 1963, in which I spoke of my dream that is devoid of segregation and racism. I also advocated for nonviolent methods of protest. I have dedicated my life to the nonviolent struggle for civil rights in the United States. My leadership played a pivotal role in ending and segregation for African Americans and to the creation of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Considered a crowning achievement of the Civil Rights era, I was assassinated in 1968, but my words and legacy continue to resonate for all those seeking justice in the United States and around the world. As I said at the Washington National Cathedral on March 31st, 1968, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can. So I have a dream today that little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sister and brother. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Power anywhere there's people. Let me give you an example of teaching people. Basically, people learn by observation and participation. Now, you all know yourselves that we go around and joke ourselves by saying that the masses have PhDs. But that's not true. Even if it was true, it wouldn't matter. Because with some things you have to learn by participating in it and seeing it. Now, you all know yourselves that there are people walking around your community today that have all types of degrees that should be in a meeting, but are not right here, right now, right? That's because you can have as many degrees as on a thermometer. If you don't have practice, then you might as well not be able to walk across the street and chew gum at the same time. My name is Freddie Hampton. I was born August 30th, 1948, to my beautiful mother, Iberia Hampton, and my father, Francis Hampton. In the earlier years of my life, when I was in high school, the colored girls in my school couldn't run for homecoming queen. So I protested for them. And in the end, they could run. In 1969, I joined the Black Panther Party. I soon headed the Chicago chapter. I had achieved many great feats, like co-founding the Rainbow Coalition and conducting a graying truce on TV. But my story is close to ending. On 1969, October 4th, I died from a police raid.
My name is Mary Jane McLeod Bethune. I'm the daughter of former slaves. I was born in 1875 in Maysville, South Carolina. I am an American educator, stateswoman, and civil rights activist. I founded the National Council for Black Women in 1935. It later developed at Bethune-Cookman University. I am known as the First Lady of the Struggle because of my commitment to gain better lives for African Americans.
I am known to San Antonio for what Martin Luther King is to America, the face of the civil rights movement. Let me introduce myself. My name is Reverend Raymond R.A. Callis. I was born September 12, 1929, Texas native. My heart and I wanted to see growth and development in San Antonio's east side. My vision, I founded several organizations to rename schools, streets, and parks. After the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. on April 14, 1968, I wanted to keep his legacy and movement alive. So I formed a march just with a little people group, the Elite Eight, and we marched each year on Martin Luther King Day. I wanted to present my idea to the state representative, but they didn't accept it until 1991, which we are known for today. And don't you think we have the greatest march of all in the U.S.? And don't you think that's because of me? Thank you.
Wow, we made it. I hope you enjoyed the Antioch Living Black History Museum. On behalf of our exhibit creators, I want to thank you for joining us this morning. A huge cup of gratitude goes out to our parents, every volunteer, the Antioch audio-visual team for recording us, Deacon Skip Wilson for editing our program, all of our exhibit creators for researching and preparing for your exhibit, our A-team leadership, and our pastor and first lady, Reverend Dr. Kenneth and Velma Kemp. We'll see you next year.